Well, in 2012, Gail Carson Levine wrote a critically acclaimed children's book entitled Forgive Me, I Meant to Do It. It's filled with the unapologetic apologies of children thrilled by the mischief they've caused. Well, these days, it seems like many voices on cable news are just as eager to trumpet their missteps without even a hint of regret.
CNN has obtained leaked documents from inside China that reveal the missteps and chaos of its early response to the pandemic.
CNN calls this an exclusive. Leaked documents, they cry out. Well, here's the thing, though. This idea of a December bombshell that China lied and people died was already covered by the Associated Press nearly 7 months ago. On May 4th, they obtained an official report from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security that alleged what seemed obvious. China had misled the world. Now, that DHS report cited import and export data, which convinced mathematicians and trade experts alike that China downplayed the extent and severity of the virus while simultaneously manipulating global supply chains to stockpile PPE before anyone figured it out. And yet, in the face of this mountain of evidence, it appears that the talking points of the CCP outweighed the diligence of the Associated Press or even the courage of whistleblowers like Li Wenlang, a doctor inside China who had the courage to proclaim to anyone willing to listen that his own country was lying to the world. Now, you would think all these months later, finally armed with the facts they needed to report this abomination, CNN would acknowledge these early reports in their breaking news reporting. Perhaps a simple, we're sorry. Well, don't hold your breath, because as we inch closer and closer to 2021, it seems as if the media's post-election non-apology tour is just heating up. Take Hunter Biden, for example. This week, it was confirmed that he is, in fact, under criminal investigation for his alleged shady business dealings in China, a fact that should surprise no one, except perhaps the mainstream media, who spent the last 12 months unilaterally clearing Hunter Biden of even the prospect of criminal wrongdoing. When Hunter's own business partner, Tony Bobulinski, alleged prior to the 2020 presidential election that his Chinese business dealings with Hunter were corrupt, they dismissed his claims out of hand. When law enforcement retrieved a laptop containing emails and business correspondences allegedly belonging to Hunter Biden himself, the media again declared unequivocally that the laptop itself and all of its contents were Russian disinformation. Well, here's the problem, though, with that bold declaration. The director of national intelligence himself, John Ratcliffe, said unequivocally, quote, "There is no intelligence that supports the idea that the purported Hunter Biden laptop and the emails on it are part of a Russian disinformation campaign." Again, no intelligence, he said. And yet the media called it Russian disinformation all the way through Election Day. And just to be safe, they had their billionaire big tech oligarchs embargo the Hunter laptop story for good measure. So why is any of this even important, you may ask? Aren't I, Joe Pinion, just engaging in the same partisan spin I'm admonishing others for? Well, let me assure you that this actually matters. Because eventually all that spinning and looking the other way comes crashing into your life and your struggle to survive in a nonpartisan disaster of the media's own making. Back in June, Dr. Fauci gave what turned out to be a pretty shocking interview about the early days of mask guidance. He explained why the COVID task force didn't urge all Americans to run out and buy up as many masks as they could.
We were concerned, the public health community, and many people were saying this, were concerned that it was at a time when personal protective equipment, including the N95 masks and the surgical masks, were in very short supply. And we wanted to make sure that the people, namely the healthcare workers, who were brave enough to put themselves in harm's way to take care of people who were infected with the coronavirus and the danger of them getting infected, we did not want them to be without the equipment that they needed.
So let's just break down what exactly he said there. That was Dr. Fauci, arguably the most trusted medical voice in news, saying quite matter-of-factly that when they told millions of Americans they did not need to wear a mask, they actually believed the exact opposite. They knew they were putting them at risk. Put another way, they lied to you. Now, maybe that's the burden of leadership in a nation of 300 million plus souls. The horrifying responsibility of having to choose between the safety of those who heal the sick and the wellness of those at risk of becoming infected. But I believe most Americans have a right to receive the experts' best advice. And I think that most Americans feel as if they had a right to be able to make fully informed decisions. And yet, while we know today that wearing masks is the prevailing medical opinion, you would think the media would be horrified by the disturbing discovery that they were initially used as a vessel to unleash untruths on the citizenry. And yet, to this day, the press still appears to have more contempt for the people who believed the lie than they do for the part they played in helping to spread the lie in the first place. A media too proud to say we got it wrong is a media too weak to protect the America we love. Because when we, the people, start believing that the media is more committed to protecting their mistakes than securing the truth, we end up with a sorry state of affairs run by people who aren't sorry about anything at all. Or put another way, forgive me, we meant to do it.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.